It's Valentine's Day, or one of the approximate days around that time whenever I get around to finishing this episode, and what better way to celebrate than with spreading a little love in Galgun. Ah, yes, Galgun, one of the most infamous yet misunderstood import games of the generation. Misunderstood how? Well, it seems every time one of these pervy, fan-servicey Japanese games comes out, everyone that discusses it just points at it and goes, "Oh, isn't this so pervy and wacky? Aren't I so pervy and wacky because I'm playing it? Whoa, Japan's crazy!" And they seldom really talk about the gameplay, what makes the game tick, what makes it unique, which is what I'm here to do. But wait, what is Galgun, if you haven't heard of it? Well, it's a light gun shooter, except instead of shooting terrorists or zombies or any normal enemy, you're shooting schoolgirls, and instead of killing them, you're bringing them to orgasm with a pheromone gun. So, basically, it's the Japanese anime version of Orgasmo. Hey, look at the way the main character is dressed. He could totally be a Mormon. Anyway, though, I kind of want to get into the weird backstory of how this game came to be. You see, it comes from Intercreate, the people who made the Mega Man Zero, Mega Man ZX, Mega Man's 9 and 10, and they're currently working on Mighty Number 9 and contributing a little bit to the new Shantae game that's coming out. So yeah, they do a lot of Mega Man games, and they made this. How'd that happen? Well, remember that point in time when Capcom said, "Yeah, we're not making Mega Man games anymore"? Well, Intercreates was sort of sitting around going, "Wow, we don't have any Mega Man games to make, and we need to make something. Hey, everyone, take a little post-it note and write your idea for a side-scrolling action game on it so we can make something and try to make some money in this company." And one person decided to buck the trend. He said, "You know, I was playing House of the Dead the other day, and I thought, this game would be so much better if instead of being swarmed by zombies, I was swarmed by cute girls." This is seriously how it happened. And one can only imagine the president of the company looking at this suggestion note, leaping out of his chair and shouting, "Brilliant!" Because it is kind of a brilliant idea, and it became the very next game they made. But what system to put it on? Light gun shooter with cute girls. We could put it on the Wii, whose default controller is basically a light gun. It's one of the few things the Wiimote does well. We could put it on the PS3, which has the Move, which makes a serviceable light gun as well. No, we're going to put it on the one system that doesn't have a light gun, the 360. And why? Well, that's because in Japan, the Xbox is considered the pervert's system. A belief so powerful, it actually overrides having a light gun for your light gun game. How did this happen? Well, Japan wasn't really fond of the idea of a Western-made console. Western-made games are sort of a small niche in Japan. So, the original Xbox really didn't sell in Japan. But Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball was an Xbox exclusive, as was, Dead or Alive 3 and 2 Ultimate and all that. And some people did go out and purchase the system just to play Extreme Beach Volleyball, which sort of gave the system a stigma, as the only reason to own an Xbox in Japan is to play Extreme Beach Volleyball. This stigma stuck, and stuck so hard that when one of Microsoft's own PR lady didn't want to be seen walking home with an Xbox because of the implications. This actually happened. And as such, the Xbox brand, sort of became a magnet for pervy games. Rumble Rose's Double X, the Dead or Alive series, Dream Club, One-Chanbara, there's quite a few other sort of pervy games that were really drawn to the Xbox. Now, when a lot of people saw Galgun, they thought it was a Kinect game, because this was around the time the Kinect was coming out, and a lot of people make the foolish mistake of thinking that the Kinect is basically like the Move or the Wiimote. It isn't. It makes a shitty light gun. The only way to make a good light gun out of the Kinect is to pack it with a PlayStation Move. You remember Cabela's Big Game Hunter hunting party? that basically came with a move. It was a functional-ass light gun game. You literally could not do Gal Gun on the Kinect. Trust me, you couldn't, because it's about accuracy, and it requires some reaction time with when you shoot, and the Kinect doesn't really have a good way of telling when you're shooting and not shooting. Even the new Kinect, I don't think, just due to the nature of it, would be accurate enough to handle this game, and why would you want to play it with the Kinect anyway? But this gives a hint into what happened next. You see, with the Kinect coming out, Microsoft want to revitalize their image. They want to turn over a new leaf. They want to be seen as a system that's family-friendly. So here we have Intercreates making this pervy game and putting it on the Xbox purely because it's the pervy console. And Microsoft is trying to change their image. So when the game is just about to come out, Microsoft demands the game be delayed. A trailer came out showing how they were going to censor the game. Because, yeah, Microsoft, they didn't want to be the perverts console anymore. They wanted to be family-friendly. So they were showing this trailer of how the game was gonna be censored, and it got delayed so it could be censored. Then the game comes out, and it wasn't censored. And when Microsoft caught wind of this, they threw a shit fit, forcing Intercreates to release, I shit you not, a patch they seriously called the Panties Protect patch. Not even kidding, that was the name of it. That's what they put on the website. Panties Protect patch. I couldn't make this shit up. Well, around this time, Sony was realizing that the only thing Microsoft had over them was their pervy games. I guess they relaxed some of their policies or something, because every pervy 360 exclusive, Dream Club, Idolmaster, which really isn't that pervy, we'll talk about that later, just everything like that was suddenly getting ported to the PS3 with these enhanced, super better, superior versions. And Gal Gun, a year later, followed suit. And I can safely say it is a drastic improvement. I mean, just having a real light gun with the PlayStation Move, which, yes, it is Move compatible and also 3D compatible, though I haven't gotten that to work yet. Just having a better light gun with the Move alone makes it the superior release. But they also add in more girls, more modes, enhance the graphics by blurring the backgrounds, which is sort of an important thing here because, yeah, the background objects and their texturing look like shit because they put all of the processing power into making the girls look good, which, let's be honest, that is some damn fine cell shading. As a cell shading connoisseur, someone who really loves good cell shading, this game looks fantastic. They really got the girls to look like almost hand-drawn anime characters popping out of the screen at you, and they put so much into them that, yeah, the backgrounds look like shit. So the fact that the PS3 release blurs the background a bit makes it look a lot better. There's also noticeably less slowdown. The load times, which were ridiculous on 360, are much shorter as well. The PS3 release is superior in literally every single conceivable way. And it also comes with all the DLC that was released for the 360 as unlockables within the game. It has new DLC that is so much better. Now, the mechanics of the game. How does it work? What's the plot? Well, the concept is that you're just some guy who doesn't have a girlfriend, and your guardian angel is feeling sorry for you, so she takes out Cupid's arrow and tries to shoot you with it. Problem is, it has a rapid-fire homing setting, and you get shot with too many arrows.
With the replay button and another Zori convention, it's even easier. One shot. Replay sends every following shot to the same location.
When you awaken, you suddenly find all the girls in school flinging themselves at you, but your guardian angel has some bad news. You see, you're kind of overloaded with pheromones at the moment. All the girls are in love with you, but within 24 hours, you're kind of going to be out of pheromones. So, if you don't find your true love within 24 hours, you will be doomed to a life of loneliness. Thankfully, your guardian angel has your back. She's brought up 4 different ideal mates for you that she's found, and it's your job to pick which one you're going to focus on and make her fall in love with you within 24 hours, which is going to be quite the task. And that's the concept of the game. Each of these girls, aside from looking different and having different personalities, they also represent a different path through the game. There's 4 main variations of the game, essentially, giving the game some replay value. Each of these girls also represents a boss battle, rather than your traditional bosses where you shoot their weak point or whatever. Instead, you play mini-games to sort of help the girls out. Well, some of them are boss battles. You go with the sporty chick, she's gonna fling metal balls at you with her wooden sword. How does that even work anyway? But then you have, like, the snooty, rich artist girl who wants you to pose for one of her paintings, so you have to select the correct pose, and then you have to shoot away the sheep to prevent yourself from falling asleep while holding the pose for her painting. No, that doesn't involve any stupid PlayStation Move posing. Remember, it was originally a 360 game, thank goodness. You just have to select the pose. Still, you get the idea. The boss battles are noticeably untraditional. One thing you might have also noticed, though, is that each of the random enemy girls is distinctive and unique. This is actually completely true. They all have their own name, add their own backstory, a personality, and do a lot of things that makes every single random background girl unique. In fact, one of them is an American transfer student, and she shouts her confessions of love at you in English. And then there's the Chinese one who shouts her confession of love at you in Chinese. They all have a unique voice as well. There's a lot of things that make these girls unique, and this is an important part of the gameplay. You see, Galgun isn't about fast-paced reactionary shooting. Remember, it was originally on 360, which doesn't have a light gun. So in trying to make a light gun game that can actually be played on a damn controller and be relatively enjoyable, they focused not on fast-paced reactionary shooting with things popping out at you and stuff. Instead, they focused on a slower-paced, more accuracy-based game. As such, one of the key elements of the game is the ecstasy shot. You see, as you move your cursor over a girl, you'll see some Japanese text pop out of her. That's her sweet spot. That's the spot where if you shoot her right there, she will instantly orgasm. Yes, you found it. So, the crazy thing about this, though, is that each girl has a different ecstasy spot you have to shoot them in. But it's always the same. Every time the twins show up, it's the face. Every time the American girl shows up, it's the chest. Maria, that was her name. So, if you can actually remember the different girls and recognize them, you can more quickly aim at their ecstasy spot and get an ecstasy shot, and chain your ecstasy shots together. That's an important gameplay mechanic. Also, it's worth mentioning that the game isn't just a light gun shooter. As I mentioned with the 4 main girls that you're trying to date, yes, it's a light gun shooter dating sim. When you meet up with them, you have to choose from multiple choices and you have to pick the right one. There's also a degree of stat management in the game, which brings us to one of the other unusual features, Doki Doki mode. You see, as you shoot the girls with pheromones and cause them to orgasm, it fills up this meter, and if you press triangle, or I don't even remember what button it was on the 360 controller, but if you aim at a girl and press triangle when you have a full meter, you go into Doki Doki mode, which is basically like the Gigolo missions in Killer is Dead, except significantly better. In this mode, you have a close-up of the girl, and you switch between multiple spots on her body. The size of the Japanese text that pops out of her will tells you the effectiveness of that spot. Once you've found the right spot that you want to aim at, you then hold the move button to zoom in on it. The more you zoom in, the more powerful your shot becomes, but the more worried the girl gets, and there's sort of this thumping heartbeat feeling and the controller's shaking. And if you zoom in too much, the girl will cover herself, blocking you from shooting at that part of her body. So you're sort of playing chicken with her, trying to zoom in as much as you can without her blocking you. And then you fire off a shot, and that fills a meter on the side of the screen. If she does block you, you'll want to switch between multiple spots, and firing at the same spot repeatedly increases the chance of her blocking you. So you're constantly try to switch between different spots and zoom in at her and sneak shots past her to fill up her meter. Once full, you hit triangle to bring her to orgasm, and then there's this gigantic orgasmic explosion that causes all the girls on screen to wet their panties.
Now, a real killer, when he picked up the ZF-1, would have immediately asked about the little red button on the bottom of the gun.
More than that, though, for some inexplicable reason, this also alters your stats depending upon which girl you went into Doki Doki mode with. I'm not exactly sure why this is. Are you going Mega Man style and draining their skills? Are you in their mind and finding out what their perfect man would be and adjusting yourself to that? I do not understand the mechanics of this. It's best not to think about. The point is, different girls will alter your stats in different ways, raising some and lowering others. So if you're trying to get the best ending and really manage your stats properly, you want to go into Doki Doki mode with the right girls in order to raise the right stats and not raise the wrong stats or lower the wrong stats. It's weird. But yes, there's also multiple endings depending upon what your stats are and what choices you make when you talk to the girls, which does make playing through the story mode and getting the good endings very difficult. It won't instantly end your game, though. You can play through the game and get the bad ending, and thankfully there is a score attack mode, which is just go through the school, make girls orgasm. And that's wonderful about this game, because otherwise I think a lot of people are just going to play that mode because it's much more actiony and there's noticeably less of a language barrier on the game. In spite of all this talk, though, the game is actually really tame. A lot of people seem to think it's a hentai game or an adult game or that it's really, really risque, but I have to be honest with you, there are no bananas or sausages or phallic popsicles or girls spilling yogurt on themselves. It's honestly pretty tame in most regards. It really doesn't go too terribly far. I mean, yes, you're effectively... the best way to describe it, if you ask me, is you ever hear the trope G-rated sex? You ever see that trope? Well, this, my friends, is the one and only G-rated orgy. I don't know how else to describe it. I mean, even the game's tentacle monster is rather well behaved, all things considered. It's a pretty tame game, I think. I mean, you're just making a whole lot of girls really, really happy. And I'm very glad about this tameness, because if it wasn't this tame, it would probably make me really, really uncomfortable with the implications. This is one of those games where it's best not to think about exactly what's happening here, because it's sort of a gray zone in a lot of areas, but this does raise an important question. Was the PS3 release censored? Does it automatically have the Panties Protect patch in? Well, funny story. Not only is the PS3 release not censored, they went the extra mile and decided to give every single girl in the game a unique pair of panties. In fact, I read some report saying that there are over 300 different unique pairs of panties in the game, which I'm not even sure how that would work, because there's only 60 some odd girls. I think 68? So, how? Either way, it's clear these people had their priorities straight. One of my favorite features, though, of the game, getting back to a topic I was on earlier, my favorite thing about this game would have to be the random background girls, the random enemy girls that fling themselves at you. I love the fact that they made them unique. I love the fact that you're supposed to remember who they are and that there's actually a gameplay element to this. And they even went further and gave each of them unique profiles. Every time you successfully go into Doki Doki mode with them, you unlock a piece of their profile. Doki Dokiing with them 3 times in the same game unlocks their full profile and allows you to view their character model, and Doki Dokiing with them in each of their different outfits, as all the girls have 3 different outfits in the game: the school uniform, the school swimsuit, and the PE outfit. unlocks that outfit to be viewed in the character viewer. Clearly, though, I'm not the only one who really likes the abundance of random, unique background girls. Because while the 360 version of the game was all, oh, hey, look at the main girls, woohoo, with the way the title screen and the opening sequence is, the PS3 one, its new opening sequence actually shows off quite a few of the random girls, and the title screen has them all over the place. More than that, though, one of my favorite additions to the PS3 release is the gallery. As you play the game, depending on how well you do, you unlock angel feathers, which you then use to unlock random crap in the gallery. Some of these are outfit pieces and old DLC, and you've got the original 360 intro, which could be viewed. But most of it are pictures of all the different random girls in the game. And I really like that. I like that they gave them a little more personality, let us get to know them a little more. They're probably the most unusual and interesting thing about the game. The fact that every single enemy is unique. I forgot to mention, they all have unique game over screens. That's right. If you lose, that's one of the big questions. How do you lose in this game outside of score attack mode, since that's also a survival mode? Well, in the off chance you do lose, that means submitting to one of the random girls' confessions of love, and the game over screen is you holding hands with them at sunset, and it's a unique image with a unique phrase for each of the 60-some-odd girls in the game. Really, that's the best thing about this game. Well, that I do have to actually mention the DLC that they released on PS3. In the PS3 release, the DLC is, of course, different costumes and little accessories you can put on the girls. And what I like is that you can actually replace... The way it works is you actually replace the different school uniforms with them. The uniform, the swimsuit, and the PE outfit with the different DLC outfits. The one that I would most heavily recommend, as you're probably seeing in a lot of these videos, is the bikini DLC. Because each of the different girls in the game has a unique bikini. Not only is that really neat, but it adds more visual variety to the game and makes the different girls stand out. It makes them more unique and thus makes it easier to spot and identify them and remember them when you're shooting at them and trying to find their ecstasy spots and such. So it does actually make the game slightly easier to play. Mostly, though, it's just a visual variety. I would also recommend putting bunny ears on them so they cannot hide from me. Seriously, the bunny ears keep sticking out from their ridiculous hiding spots. Either way, you're starting to see more of what Galgun is really all about. I wouldn't say it's not pervy. I believe the best phrase would be, how do they put it? Pervier than expected, or less pervy than expected, but pervier than you'd hoped. There we go. Less pervy than expected, but pervier than you'd hoped. That is the best way to describe this game. So that does raise a question. Is it actually a good game? Well, it depends on what you look for in a light gun shooter. It certainly has replay value, and there is enjoyment to be had, but it's not the fast-paced reactionary twitch action of House of the Dead or especially Time Crisis. This is closer to Silent Scope and Pokemon Snap with its sort of collection elements with the different girls that going into Doki Doki mode with them. But yeah, it's a little more like Silent Scope. There's even a zoom-in function if you hold down the move button, since it's more about slow-paced, accurate shooting and remembering specific spots on the different girls than it is about twitch reflexes. And there is some enjoyment to be had there. It certainly has boatloads of replay value, not just because of the multiple paths of the score attack mode, and the ability to replay individual chunks of the game, and the collection aspect, and a bunch of the other modes that I haven't even unlocked yet. There's like some kind of crazy Doki Doki time attack mode. I don't even know what's with the blue-haired guardian angel yet, because she hasn't even shown up for me yet. But and then you have the gallery to unlock. So there's a lot of things to keep you coming back and playing. Of course, I do have to mention some of the flaws. There's not a whole lot of environmental variety. I mean, it's all around a friggin' school and stuff. The environments, as I mentioned earlier, don't look very good. The textures actually look really, really terrible since all the effort went into the characters rather than the backgrounds. The music is really repetitive. And when you're playing the story mode, the light gun sections are really, really easy. Time attack mode at least provides a bit of a challenge because, you're trying to get a high score, and, where are my words? You're trying to get a high score. Oh, yeah, that's right. And your life bar, your life meter carries over between each stage, which definitely gives it way more of a challenge. Although I will say that I have not actually succeeded in getting particularly high scores in this game. So come to think about it, maybe the game is a lot harder than I think, because while it's hard to lose, it's definitely very hard to get a high score in this and get A rank and S rank and stuff like that. Other weird flaws include the fact that sometimes the characters have really weird invincibility frames, especially when they're bowing, which can easily break your chain if you shoot them during that time. And I can't really hold this against the game, but it's constantly switching what the X and circle button do on menus if you're using a US console, because on US consoles, X is confirmed, circle is cancel. In Japanese games, circle is confirmed, X is cancel, and I've played a lot of the import games I've played. It's kind of random whether they're going with the system defaults or the game defaults. Oftentimes it depends on if you're on a system menu or not. In Galgun, though, they're constantly changing it. Like, there have been times where the game will bring up a menu that says X or circle, and I will press X and it will register circle, and vice versa. But there are times where that won't happen. So, word of warning, that's a really weird thing that results from the fact that they didn't plan on putting it on a US console. So again, I can't really hold it against the game, but woo, that's a weird one. I'm not quite sure I'd exactly call it Ghost Squad, but it's an alright little light gun shooter. But mostly you have to be interested in the sheer wackiness of what it presents. Swarms of cute schoolgirls that you make very, very happy. I don't know what else to say about the game. So I guess that's where we end it. That, my friends, is Galgun. That's what really makes the game unique and special. And it's up to you to decide if that's what you're into or not. Me, personally, I thought it was a hoot. Anyway, this is Jell, and I hope you've enjoyed looking at my game archive. I'm going to regret this and be alone for the rest of my life, aren't I? Oh well, happy Valentine's Day! See ya!